November 21st, 1987. The #1 song on the Billboard Hot 100 is Mony Mony by Billy Idol. The song it replaced at #1? I Think We're Alone Now by Tiffany. Two different artists. Two different sounds. Two completely different 80s. Both songs. Tommy James. And neither artist, not one press release, not one radio interview, not one MTV spot lead with his name. Let's back up. Because before we talk about what the 80s took, we have to understand what Tommy James built. He's 18 years old. A song called Hanky Panky, which he did not write. He recorded it at 15 as a B-side and forgot about it. Gets picked up by a Pittsburgh DJ. Goes to #1. That's how it starts. Not with a plan. With a B-side. From there, Tommy James and the Shondells put 23 singles on the Billboard Hot 100 between 1966 and 1971. I Think We're Alone Now, Mirage, Get In Together, Mony Mony, Do Something to Me, Crimson and Clover, Crystal Blue Persuasion, She, Draggin the Line. And here's what the resume actually looks like. I Think We're Alone Now peaks at #4 in 1967. Mony Mony peaks at #3 in the US and #1 in the UK in 1968. Crimson and Clover goes to #1 and stays there for 2 weeks in 1969. Crystal Blue Persuasion peaks at #2 that same year. 100 million records sold, 32 Billboard Hot 100 entries. And then 1972 happens. The Shondells disband. Tommy James goes solo. The hits thin out. And by the time the 80s arrive, a generation of teenagers does not know his name, but they know his songs. Let's start with Mony Mony. The original story of this title is one of my favorites in all of rock history. Tommy James is in a New York City apartment. He has the track. He doesn't have the title. He goes out on the terrace. And I'm quoting here from a 1995 Hitch magazine interview. I looked up and saw the Mutual of New York building, MONY, with its initials illuminated in red at the top. I said, that's gotta be it. I've always thought that if I had looked the other way, it might have been called Hotel Taft. A building named it. The original peaks at #3 in the US and #1 in the UK in 1968. Now, Billy Idol first covers it in 1981. That version goes nowhere. He records a live version in 1985. His label releases it. In 1987, it hits #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. But here's what nobody tells you. The song it replaced at #1 was not some random 80s hit. It was Tiffany's I Think We're Alone Now. Tommy James replaces Tommy James at the top of the American singles chart. And the name Tommy James appears in neither artist's promotional material. I Think We're Alone Now was written by Richie Cordell and recorded by Tommy James and the Shondells in 1967. It peaks at #4 in the US. Tiffany is 16 years old. When she records her version in 1987, she is performing it in shopping malls as part of a promotional tour. A strategy her management devised specifically for a teen audience that did not have access to traditional concert venues. It works. The shopping mall tour generates enough grassroots momentum that the single gets radio traction. By October 1987, it is sitting at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. And it stays there. Until Mony Mony knocks it off. Now freeze that frame. October-November 1987. The two songs at the very top of the American singles chart are both Tommy James compositions. One was written by him directly. The other was written by his principal collaborator, Richie Cordell, the same man who co-wrote Mony Mony, I Think We're Alone Now, Getting Together, and Mirage, as part of the James Cordell creative partnership that defined the Shondells' peak years. Two Tommy James-era songs, numbers 1 and 2. Simultaneously, Tommy James himself peaked at 3 and 4 with those same songs 20 years earlier. Nobody covered that story in 1987. Nobody. Joan, Jett, and the Blackhearts release Crimson and Clover. It peaks at #7. If you watched short #3 in this series, you already know what the receipts say. Crimson and Clover was written by Tommy James and Peter Lucia, the drummer. A detail that has been quietly dropped from nearly every retelling of that song's history. Joan Jett's version has 86 million Spotify streams. The co-writer of the original, most people could not name. That is not about Joan Jett. She performed it. That is about the architecture of how songs travel through culture and what gets stripped away in transit. The song, the credit, the context, gone. Vince Gilligan uses Crystal Blue Persuasion as the soundtrack to Walter White's Meth Empire at peak scale. Season 5, Episode 8, Gliding Over All. If you watched short #4, You know the full receipt. Tommy James assembled that title word by word from the Book of Revelation, chapters 21 and 22 in a hotel room in 1969. His word for the song? Hope. Breaking Bad used the misread deliberately. The irony was the point. Tommy James peaked at number 2 with that song in 1969. In 2012, it became the anthem of the most-watched drama on American television. He has been correcting the drug interpretation for 40 years. He has not won that argument. And then there is Draggin' the Line. Tommy James goes solo. The Shondells are done. Draggin' the Line peaks at number 4. It is a hymn to simplicity. I'm quoting here. I wrote it up at my farm. It just kind of wrote itself. It takes 49 years for the cover. Sherry Curry, former lead singer of the Runaways. She records a version that lands in the punk-adjacent rock revival space. If you followed short number 2 in this series, the one about Joan, Jett, Sherry Curry, and the connection between two Runaways covering the same architect's material, you know why this matters? The 80s took 3 songs. The 2000s took the 4th and 5th. Tommy James is still writing the story. So here is the question this entire series has been building toward. When does a song stop belonging to the person who wrote it? Tommy James has the receipts. He has the chart positions. He has the Billboard entries. He has the co-writing credits. He has the Hitch magazine interviews and the Revelation chapter citations and the farm where Draggin' the Line wrote itself on a Tuesday afternoon. He has all of it. And the culture has already decided what those songs mean, who they belong to, what era they represent. For a generation that grew up in 1987, I Think We're Alone Now is Tiffany in a shopping mall. Mony is Billy Idol with a fist in the air. Those associations are not wrong. They are not theft in a legal sense. The licensing was paid. The royalties moved through the proper channels. But here's what nobody tells you about the inherited framework. The inheritance is not the chart position. It is not the cover version. It is not even the cultural association. The inheritance is the silence around the original author. November 21st, 1987. 2 Tommy James songs at the top of the American singles chart. Simultaneously. And the name Tommy James does not trend. Does not appear on MTV. Does not get a retrospective segment on Entertainment Tonight. The 80s took the credit not by stealing it. They took it by not knowing they had it. That is what Inherited is about. The full receipt shelf, Billboard chart positions, writing credits, primary source citations is in the description. The shorts are the chapters. This is the book. Originals or the covers. Who wrote the 60s better? Tommy James or the 80s? Drop it below.